She conquered the world with her voice. Then she went silent. No scandal, no announcement, just silence. In a world where celebrities cling to the spotlight, she did the opposite. She stepped back, slowly, deliberately, and that silence, far from being a sign of disappearance, became her signature, a mystery, a quiet strength, because behind that apparent absence lies a story, a choice, and a price. Sade never offered explanations, no justifications, no PR strategy. She returned, only when she felt like it, like a quiet tide, always awaited, never forced. But why? Why would a global icon, praised for her elegance, her deep voice, her grace, choose isolation? What was she protecting herself from, and at what cost? While most stars expose every inch of their lives until there's nothing left, she remained the exception. A rare figure, elusive, almost unreal. And what if that retreat, often mistaken for coldness or arrogance, was actually an act of resistance, a subtle response to the soft violence of modern fame? Today, we dive into the mystery of Sade, an artist who chose silence to stay true to herself. It all began in the 80s, an era of glitz, synthesizers, and flashy pop, and then, amid the chaos, a soft voice emerged, intimate, barely a whisper, the voice of Sade Adu. With Diamond Life, her debut album, she didn't just enter the music industry. She brought a vision, a tone, a distinct aesthetic. Within months, she became an icon. Her warm voice, her calm presence, her understated elegance captivated the world. Smooth Operator, Your Love is King, The Sweetest Taboo. Each song became legendary, and yet something was off. Despite the fame, Sade remained distant, unreachable, untouchable. She avoided red carpets, dodged interviews, refused public confessions. She managed her image with rare precision. For her, art came first. Everything else was secondary. This wasn't marketing. It was instinct, a way of being. And even back then, a pattern was emerging. She gave everything in her music, and almost nothing outside of it. Maybe she knew that too much light eventually burns. Album after album, tour after tour, she filled stadiums and sold millions of records. Sade became a global reference, almost mythical. And yet, the more famous she grew, the further she drifted. She didn't chase fame, didn't seek out industry friendships, no scandals, no private life spilled out, no flashy collabs, just her music and silence. While other artists burned themselves out trying to stay relevant, she built her legend by disappearing. But this distance wasn't just an artistic stance. It reflected a deeper inner pull between public love and the private need to preserve herself. She was everywhere through her songs, her visuals, her aura, and yet physically, she was almost never seen, as if the spotlight, too bright now, threatened to consume her. For many, fame is a dream. For her, it became pressure, a continuous intrusion. It wasn't the fans she rejected. It was the noise, the constant demand to speak, to share, to perform. People wanted her to talk, to reveal herself, to fit into the image they had built of her. But she resisted. She stayed in control. And in an industry that devours you, her silence came off as defiance. Sade never chased trends, never reinvented herself just to stay relevant. She created when she felt like creating. And the rest of the time, she stayed silent. No excuses, no calculations. Her silence puzzled many. Some saw arrogance, others indifference. But it was a choice, a form of protection, a way to preserve her truth. Because fame is never neutral. It transforms, it weakens, it exposes. And for someone as sensitive and whole as Sade, exposure quickly became a threat. So she built a wall, invisible but firm. She refused to become a character. She refused to be consumed by other people's gaze. And the more she disappeared, the deeper the mystery grew. Her silence became its own language, a way of saying, "I'm here, but not for sale." Then came a turning point, the birth of her son. From that moment on, her discretion only deepened. She wasn't just an artist anymore, she became a mother. And protecting that role, that sacred space, became her absolute priority. She left London, moved to the countryside, not to some flashy villa, but to a modest home, away from the chaos. She gardened, cooked, wrote, in silence. She could have kept cashing in on her image, released album after album. She had the talent, the recognition, the aura. But she said no, no to the race, no to constant exposure, no to sacrificing her inner life. And she stuck to that number. Her retreat wasn't a meltdown, not a crisis, not burnout. It was a deliberate, deep, visceral decision, a way to remain whole, to avoid becoming what the industry expected of her. Even when offers poured in, tours, collabs, big projects, she declined or agreed, but only on her terms, always. She never traded her inner peace. She could have become a brand, a hit-making machine, another name in the endless entertainment carousel. But she chose to preserve her authenticity, and that authenticity she guarded with silence, intentional, proud, powerful, because in a world obsessed with visibility, each withdrawal is a form of resistance. Sade doesn't address rumors. She's not on social media. She doesn't play the game. She stays silent. And through that silence, she declares, "I don't need to be seen to exist." And the more she retreats, the more magnetic she becomes. She stands as the system's opposite, a star who refuses to burn out just to shine. Every time Sade returns, it's a shock, a thrill, a moment. She gives no warning, no hype, no clues. But when she comes back, the world listens. 8 years after Lovers Rock, she released Soldier of Love. Each time, no media circus, no endless press runs, just the music, speaking for itself. No Instagram stories, no flashy teasers, just a voice, an atmosphere, a presence that reappears, untouched. Her art, like herself, never shouts. It's soft, pure, slow, deep, the complete opposite of today's constant noise, and that refusal to hustle has become her signature. While others multiply appearances to stay relevant, she creates anticipation. Her absence becomes strategy, her silence a brand, and paradoxically, that silence makes her even more powerful. Because saying no today is a luxury. Refusing the race, breaking from the system, setting your own rhythm, that's true courage. That's true artistry. Sade never chased success. She never followed trends. She never tried to please everyone. And maybe that's why success never left her. What some see as coldness is actually fierce self-loyalty, consistency, integrity that commands respect. The more she withdraws, the more she shines. The quieter she becomes, the deeper she touches, as if her silence spoke louder than 1,000 interviews. Even today, her aura remains undiminished. She fascinates because she gives herself only to those willing to truly listen. She lives quietly, away from the flash, but never away from life. She simply operates on another frequency. Sade could have been everywhere, every talk show, every magazine cover, every tabloid headline. She could have pumped out albums, become a global brand, a pop culture fixture, but she chose the opposite. She chose calm, slowness, what truly matters, not out of pride, not for strategy, but out of loyalty to who she is. Her silence is not empty. It's a space filled with meaning, a breath in a world drowning in noise, a reminder that you can be massive and still at peace. She lives surrounded by nature, animals, and her loved ones. She still creates quietly, without pressure. Every song is born out of long silences, out of time granted to the invisible. To her, art is not a duty, it's an offering, and every offering deserves silence. Her life is not an escape, not the story of a broken star. It's the story of a lucid woman who, at the peak of her fame, dared to say no and kept saying it for decades. She refused hypersexualization, standardization, voyeurism. She refused to make a spectacle of her pain. She protected her son, her privacy, her dignity. And in that refusal, she built a legend. The most powerful thing about Sade isn't just her voice. It's not just her beauty. It's her freedom. In a world that pushes you to shout louder, show more, and produce faster, she chose the opposite. She chose silence to remain real. She never disappeared. She simply changed frequency. And that change is a message, a quiet cry, a reminder to anyone trying to shine. You don't have to sell yourself to exist. You can create without exposing yourself. You can be famous without losing who you are. The Sade mystery may never be fully solved, and maybe that's for the best, because in a world that devours everything, she remains still, silent, essential, far from the spotlight, but never far from the hearts of those who truly listen. She is the ultimate anti-star, a free woman, a silent legend,